Hello and welcome to Ken's Comics. Once again, having a Kenversation with me. I'm Ken. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to get rid of this funky graphic. I'm going to do another cool video because I like videos. And then we're going to get to it because I got some stuff to talk about today that I'm really excited about. And I want everyone to check us out. What do we all want today? Dragons, demons, ghosts. Coming to you live from the basement of Ken. If I haven't said my name enough, it's Ken, and I want everyone to remember Ken's Comics. All right, guys. Ken left his notes upstairs, so he's going to wing it today. Thank you for everyone for joining in. Thank you for if you're watching later. I've been doing these live streams a few weeks now, and I'm just practicing myself talking about my comics and hoping to use them to get some messages out there about things I care about in the world and my books, which are pretty important to me. I have a new project coming up in May. We postponed the launch from May 10th because we want to make sure that it is ready to go and be successful. So it's still coming in May. We're just settling on the date. So it's going to be late in May, guys. So watch this page. Check my website, kenscomics.net, and follow us on Facebook, and you'll see the launch of the New Angel's Blood prequel series. Today, though, we're talking about not just my comics coming up, but I want to talk about the comics I've done before, because if you follow me, it looks like I'm just bringing up this one thing. Like I'm talking Angel's Blood all the time. I got this one book, and I love that book, but I've been doing this a while now. So I'm going to go back, not to the beginning, but to the first things I started publishing. And I'm going to show you books that are out already. Okay, things I've done, talk about them a little bit, answer any questions if anybody has any questions or comments. I'll keep checking the comments. I'm going to look over here, try and keep checking Facebook and YouTube. See if I can't stay on top of it for once. Let's see, ask me comments. See, I got graphics. So going back as far as I can remember, all I wanted to do was make comics, or at least the story you've all heard, since I was 14. But I've always wanted to make drawings. I always wanted to illustrate stuff. So I always knew that was somewhere in my future. When technology finally caught up to where people like me could do it themselves and self-publish, I took full advantage of that, and I have been since 2006. Been working on my own comics, as well as I have worked professionally. I have published books, working with publishers. I'm not just a guy drawing in his basement, although I am sometimes a guy drawing in his basement. And what I want to show you today is some of the stuff that I've done. Some of it's professional, some of it's personal, some just indie comic stuff, but all of it you can get now online if you so choose. So let's go with, hi. Follow my technical difficulties as I search for my books. All right, these aren't going to be in any particular order because, like I said, I'm winging it. I had my notes because I wanted to make sure I got to certain projects. This is, by the way, not all the projects I've done. Starting with, all right, my first book was called Refrigerator Door. And this book was born out of a little bit of necessity, but a little bit of fun. I was working on a project with some friends, and I had at that time decided I wanted to include my younger nephews in an anthology. They were kids though, so we were working on a book that I'll show you later of mature stories, right? Grown up stuff, some swearing, a little bit of mature content, and credit to my friends who had creative artistic courage to tell me no, but I had said, hey, can we tone it down so that we can so I can include my nephews, because I had these two little guys in my life and I loved them to death, and I was making comics and I wanted to include them, do something cool. So Refrigerator Door came about because my creative buddies really didn't want to do that. They didn't want to tone down their art. And though initially I was like, well, dude, cool, but why not? As an artist, I thought about it and realized, yeah, there's we didn't start it like a family friendly book, and there's no reason to tone down your art just for me, just so I can give my nephews something to do besides play video games. Sorry, guys, love you. So I decided to make a separate project called Refrigerator Door. And the Refrigerator Door, the concept of it is, I mean, where's your first art gallery? My mom always said your first art gallery is the refrigerator door. You make a macaroni drawing or a thing, and your mom or dad hangs it on the refrigerator door. And so this was a replica. This drawing was what my refrigerator door looked like growing up. It was an old fashioned, rounded edged, kind of a beigey colored, ugly refrigerator. And this actually is like a picture of my nephew on here and some little mellow yellow um, bottle cap magnets that I had made. And so Refrigerator Door was the first thing I published because it was simple, it was easy, and I was just learning how to use Photoshop and format pages. And so what I did was I took this idea of an anthology from the adults and I applied to the kids. So I told all these kids that are in the book, a couple of nephews, some of my kids' friends or my friends' kids, all 12 years of age and younger. And I said, each of you give me 3 pages, and I will scan and figure out these pages, and then we'll tie them together in a book. And I, with my friend Colin, who was young at the time, and now he's a grown man because I'm getting older. We wove these pages together with a narrative by this 1 or 2 characters that told a story, and say, okay, and this is artwork by Jackie, or this, and then coming next is artwork by so and so. So it was just a good reason to give the kids something to do and something to hold in their hands. I mean, one of my favorite moments in life was holding my first comic book in my hand that had my name on it and everything. So when I first started publishing, first thing I did was a quick, easy little book called Refrigerator Door. And this little guy is available, like a lot of my self-published books, on Indie Planet. I'm gonna put the link up right here. Okay, pretty much. I was gonna share the link to each book, but a lot of them are on Indie Planet. So all you got to do is go to indieplanet.com and search for Lennar, and you'll catch a good deal of my books. Most of the books I'm going to talk about here. Refrigerator Door is not a project for profit, although it has been my best-selling book at conventions. I think maybe people just like kids art, and the idea was fun. So I sell more of those than I honestly do anywhere of any of my grown-up demon books and superhero stories and stuff. So thank you for checking that out. That is Refrigerator Door, and it's just a collection of stories by kids and for kids. And some of it's not even stories. My friend Lizzie, who's grown up and just got married. So that tells you how long ago this book was. Just she put in some art. She was really interested in doing some art. Maybe another time I'll do another stream where I show off more of that book, because it's really cool to me. It's something I love about kids art. Just brings me back to being a kid, and I feel like most of us are just big kids anyway. Thank you for that. So going on, I might as well jump to the next book then, which is Pangaea. So this is the story I was talking about, my friends. Boom, Pangaea. Now this was my test initially to figure out how to publish things myself, how to use the platform. Uh, at the time, there were a couple of different ones, and I think 2 of them are defunct now. But I have used Kablam, which is still operating and a fantastic service. They've always been really good to me. And then they list your books on their sister site, Indie Planet. And so years and years later, a decade even, I can go back and still get this book. I can put it up there for you. You can go and get this book. Pangaea. Um, the concept of Pangaea, if you aren't familiar with the supercontinent of Pangaea, is I'm going to move this graphic. All the continents were one. So the idea of Pangaea is that we were all one, and we've split out. We're separate and different now, but we all come from this one home, this one big thing. So Pangaea was kind of a cool name, and I like the Earth there and drawing a supercontinent. And that whole thing is another uh, topic for another day. I love the history of the planet kind of stuff. But for my friends, see who was in this one. Mandy Wilkinson. Mandy Nelson Wilkinson at the time. My friend Adam, who brought his Father Mahoney story to life in this book. Mandy's a writer, not an artist. She did several short stories and some prose for the book. It's fantastic, and it's dark. All of it is horror themed or suspense or mystery, and that's kind of the theme of the book. And that's why it didn't work when I tried to squeeze some 10-year-old kids into it. What was I thinking? I don't know. I was just thinking, I've never done this before. I don't know if I can do another one. Why don't I try and get my nephews to do it? And I felt very strongly about being a cool uncle, which was cool though. Led me to do a refrigerator door, and to Mandy and Adam's kids being involved with refrigerator door. So the book is very dear to my heart. So Pangaea is an anthology. It's a little bit longer. I don't remember how many pages. It's more double sized because there's a lot of stories in there. We had some comings and goings, but ultimately it became the first appearance of not just Father Mahoney, but the scrapper from Spring River. You see the guy in a purple with the mask on there. You'll see Spring River Wild next. Angel's Blood got a snippet in there. So this was really the debut of Angel's Blood, the book I'm always talking about now, that I'm going to talk about later. That's a constant in my life. My favorite dark horror comic, Angel's Blood. So check out Pangaea. It's a labor of love, like most of my work. Um, Available also on Indie Planet. You can search for Pangaea or search for Lennar or go to the link below, and that's how you find that book. So leading that to my next project became a real independent comic book by itself, Spring River Wild. Spring River has a long and boring story that I won't get into completely with you. I want to tell you in a nutshell though. Because here's what's up, guys. Spring River started out as a book called Hero by Night. You may have heard of Hero by Night because it's a different book now. Turns out we accidentally shared the name with someone else who was making a book at the same time. We ended up going through something, came to an agreement, and changed the rights to the name, and we became Spring River Wild. Spring River being the town that this all takes place in. Hero by Night, by the way, by the amazing DJ Kaufman. And I am a big fan of DJs. He's got a great channel now on YouTube that he does a lot of live stream on. I just last night watched DJ Kaufman reviewing tablet covers. So for digital artists, we can like to use tablet covers, like it's like a screen cover for your phone. A lot of good stuff. DJ's an amazing and prolific artist. He had a lot to do. Getting to know him was great because following him. He has a lot to do with my career in that he inspired me and helped me figure out different ways to diversify. What I found out early on was putting all my eggs in one basket does not work. So, as a freelancer artist, especially, you just kind of can't do one thing. You can't have just one avenue, one revenue stream. Yeah, sitting and making comics on your own isn't quite going to pay the bills, and nor is it going to get your name out there. So I started to do following his plan. He had a book, an ebook a while back that I bought, and I forget the name of it now. It's been so long. Cash for Cartoonists. Cash for Cartoonists. I'm not sure if it's still available, but if it is, look it up. If not, I apologize. But it really, really gave me some, not just some particular avenues for freelancing, but the mindset of how to expand and what I could do instead of just being settled on one thing. Like, I'm going to sit and draw comics until somebody discovers me. That just doesn't work. Didn't work then. It doesn't work now. So Hero by Night came from that. So we published Hero by Night, or I'm sorry, Spring River. Uh, it's a dark story. Again, it's a little mature. You can see by the cover, not for kids. It's not overly graphic, but it's also just not for little ones. But the scrapper there, the guy with the mask, is a guy named Kyler Stokes. It's a little bit of a split personality Hulk versus uh, alter ego type of thing, which is what drew me to it. I got involved with him at the same time I met Mike Barr of Angel's Blood. I started doing both of these books at the same time, and both of us uh, ended up getting a publisher. And while Angel's Blood lost its publisher, Spring River Wild, me and Eric Mitchell, my man, the writer of this book, and we created this book as a long series. We actually have 117 pages drawn of this series. It was going to be a graphic novel. So we lost our publisher for Angel's Blood, and Eric and I then we kind of thought twice about this publisher, and we pulled the book from the publisher, decided to publish it ourselves. So that's where I got into publishing and figuring out how to just do everything from home on my computer. Shout out to my man Davey Rivette, who gave me my first bootleg hookup of Photoshop and taught me how to use the bare minimum of it, and just let me build from there. So Spring River Wild, sorry, Werewolf Hunter. Kyler Stokes is your average Clark Kent, mild-mannered, nerdy dude, but he's a total insomniac, doesn't realize it because when he tries to sleep and can't, he nods off, becomes the Scrapper. The Scrapper is his alter ego, his better than, his the side of him that is cool and strong, and he's a hero, and he goes out and he's kind of a vigilante type. Well, there's also at this time all this crazy stuff going on in the town of Spring River, and it involves the supernatural and werewolves and mystical stuff like that. Scrapper ends up inadvertently getting involved in battling that crime scene that's like a little bit of a mafia and a little bit of a werewolf cult all rolled into one. So check out the first issue of Spring River. I hope there's more to come because there's a lot more art that exists for this book. We need some retooling to ever get it out there, but enough of that. That's Spring River. I love Spring River. Let's take this in no particular order. How about I'm going to jump ahead in the future to my man Vince Churchill, and we did a book on a 500 some page novel called Midnight Eternal. And this is a big deal to me because I love this book a lot. This book it's not a comic book, it's a novel with 15 to 17 illustrations thrown throughout. Another one of those duality things. This character has a dark side and a little bit of a personality issue. It's kind of it's too much to explain here because it's a really involved, deep story. It's like Stephen King level of detail. In this world, though, of superheroes and demons, it's a superhero story. It's a monster story. It's a supernatural thriller. This guy here is just this demon straight out of hell, but also battles actual superheroes. Something like the Tick kind of superheroes sometimes, where they got gimmicks and they got costumes, but at the same time they're uh, very dark, very serious, very mature. Right? So this book too is not for kids. Kids wouldn't like it anyway. It's like 500 pages long. There's a ton of great illustrations in it, though. I love the work I did in this book, and thanks to Vince Churchill for giving me this chance to do some great graphic stuff. Because all the detail and cross hatching that I love so much fit right into this book, and because it was a novel, the illustrations being in black and white made perfect sense. I was a big fan of working on that. I will do anything, anytime with Vince Churchill and our friend Bailey at Dark Recesses Press. Shout out to Bailey Hunter. Dark Recesses has been great to us as well. They publish a lot of books, so go look up Dark Recesses Press. It's not just this one. And so speaking of me wanting to do anything with Vince Churchill, the next book he came to me with was a complete reversal of this concept, and we made a children's book. it's it's absolutely a blast. It's cute. It's rhymey. It's a little like Dr. Seuss sing-songy with a Halloween twist. um, this kid is scared out of his mind on this walk home. Got to walk a block down from his friend's house because it's getting dark, and mom called and wants him to come home. He just lives down the block though, so he's old enough to walk himself, but it's getting dark and it's like fall, and he's scared by everything. Now, spoiler alert: it's not a horror comic. It's not really scary. It is totally kid appropriate. I love this book. It's great for 5-year-olds and early readers, but it is a lot of fun because everything scares him. He thinks every tree branch is a monster coming out to get him. Every whoosh of the wind is a ghost. And so you go through these stages of this walk home. He decides not to walk. He decides to run. That's why it's called Run. Uh, Based on a story from Vince's childhood, like a lot of great art is. So I love it. It's got a history. It's also got a lot of fun stuff. Oh, I got a video for this. You know what? I'm going to play a video just real quick because I'm such a fan of the work I did in this book. As you can see, it's a children's book, so it doesn't have the cross hatching in detail that I'm accustomed to with my Demons and Dragons. But I actually had to work harder on this to pare it down than I do on most of my work that I just pour more time into. Check out some of the art for Run. Cool. Thank you for looking at that. You can get both of these books on Amazon now, or by contacting. I mean, Vince probably has some copies. Still, you can buy direct, or myself. I have a few of Run. I don't have any Midnight Eternal right now, but I do have a bunch of signed copies of Run. So if you private message me, I'd be happy to help hook you up. Or you can order them on Amazon because the book is out there. And again, I'm trying to show everybody some of the books that I've been a part of and where you can get them because I'm really excited about all the stuff I've done. And even just looking back, this kind of, I get nostalgic because I remember putting my hands on this art. I remember drawing this picture right here. I remember all the drafts that we went through. I could do a whole live stream for an hour or two on each one of these books, just explaining some of the minutia of creating them. Because I mean, it's what I love to do. It's where my heart is, where my passion is, and so I'm a talker. Those of you who might know me in high school, my nickname literally was Talk, and I can go on and on because this is fun. Like I said, this isn't my normal jam. This is my normal jam. Okay, if I sit down and I'm drawing, I'm probably drawing something more like this or the Hulk than I am something simple and clean like Run. I like this. I like that better than seeing my face. How about that? Maybe I'll do the rest of my live streams just with images, just do pictures and a voiceover. You won't need to see my mug, even though Emily gave me this fresh fly haircut. Thanks, Em. All right, guys. So we talked about some of the comics I started with when I was learning how to publish by myself, and then we talked about Dark Recesses, a great publisher I worked with, and Vince Churchill for some other books professionally. Let's start with continue with, how about this guy? All right, this book right here called Me, Myself, and I'm Lost is by a writer named Mark Cruza, and I met him on a freelance website. God bless him for hiring me. This is a young adult novel. Again, another book full of great concepts and stories. This is more for not early readers, but young adults. And it's kind of the story of a young artist who's making his own comic. So most of the book is it's novel form, just text, and then interspersed through the chapters are some of the pages that this kid this young guy is drawing, and he draws this fantasy world where he confronts his bullies, and this guy, this the typical gym teacher. I think everybody, especially artists that got picked on a lot growing up, have a cranky, mean ass gym teacher. I don't know. I want to say that's a sad trope and a stereotype, but I had one. I had this mean ass gym teacher that would make fun of kids and kind of bully you. And I mean, sometimes the stereotype comes from somewhere, guys. Sorry to say. Um, so Me, Myself, and I'm Lost is a fun book. It's it's a good read. It's a long read, and also available on Amazon. Uh, so what I loved about this, now that this isn't the final cover we did in ink and color, but all of the drawings inside are pencil because it's supposed to be this kid's pencil drawings in his own notebook. And I think it's a little before its time in the sense that um, I've seen other children's books come out like that, where it's a book about a kid drawing a comic book. Um, Again, not little kids, but not for grown-ups either. So I'm really proud of this book. So go check it out. Just look it up on Amazon. It's called Me, Myself, and I'm Lost, or it's got a subtitle, How the Kook Found His Cool. It's a coming of age story. Going from that job to another job I took, going way back to my roots, where I love to draw with the pen and ink and the cross hatching. Boom, do it. Come on, thank you. Legends of Log. All right, guys. This is where my heart is. If I could draw all day, every day, this is what I would draw. And I know it's dense. It's dense. I don't like any white shady. Like there's no plain white space on this paper practically. But it's what I love. I love it because I like to do depth. I like to do detail. I like to do shading and cross hatching and feathers and trees, and it's it's just so much fun. I could cry. I was approached from another freelancing site, Dave Suharski at Paperback Jack, who I think now that Log is with Giant Comics. But this was a great story, and it was a series. Every book was a series of short stories, so kind of an anthology to itself, about this big guy named Log, who was basically a giant tree trunk, mystical and come to life. But he battles orcs and fairies and maybe not fairies exactly, but I think what I'm getting at is the ice princesses and giants, and there's a rock guy in there somewhere in several of the stories. Um, Fantasy kind of stuff, Lord of the Rings type of stuff. I think that's where I got elves from. I'm not sure. There's actually an elf in the books. There's a witch and a wizard, and oh man, there's a griffin. Next time I'll do one on Legends of Log, because there's a really fantastic griffin I was happy to get to design and draw. Wanted to give you a little show of this though. I believe Legends of Log can be found at Giant Comics. It's continued for a while. I haven't done this book in some time, but there are a bunch of editions that I do have some contributions to. And I wanted to show you, this is one of my favoriteest things in the whole wide world. Let's go to another. Oh man. All right. My very first job, my first professional job after I did Spring River and Pangaea and Refrigerator Door, my first paid gig was inking the second issue of From Blood from Cosmic Times. So I always love to thank people, right? I want to give a big shout out to Martin Piero and Zach Bassett from Cosmic Times, who gave me a chance. I was a total novice, and I admit I half didn't know what I was doing when I was doing this book. I remember I had to ask Zach about certain terms, I didn't know what a gutter was. All right, and a gutter being the space between borders and panels, this little gap between two boxes, basically. And he would use professional terms and phrases because he was a comic book artist. I was a guy that drew comic books, and I think the distinction is, I didn't know as much professionally about the way things were done, and so he had a shorthand with James Wynot, the previous artist on issue 1, that he and I didn't have, and so big thanks to Zach for his patience working with me, because I loved this book. This was Okay, I keep going back to the Hulk, and the Hulk is my thing. But this is really a Hulk kind of story where you got this guy. It's a little bit of a super soldier serum kind of thing or something, just to narrow it down for you. But like you've got this guy who's got this rage, uh, although he was experimented on, so it's kind of artificial. But he's got this rage, and he becomes this massive, like nearly indestructible guy. Um, Hunted by the army and the powers that be, and it's just a blast. I mean, it's good psychological stuff. It's got a history to these flashbacks, like you see on this page, but also, man, it's a bunch of action, and I loved it. It was the closest thing I feel like I'll probably ever get to drawing a Hulk comic, and so I'm eternally grateful, not just for the chance to do something professional that got published and out at conventions. I mean, people have bought this book. This is the first time anybody could into a booth somewhere and buy my book, short of me bringing it and doing it, which I did later, thanks to them. From Blood, and I have a banner here. I want to get you to cosmictimes.net, where you can order From Blood. Um, Originally published as 2 issues. The second issue was, and they published it. We published it in black and white initially, last year or so. Maybe nope, sorry, 2 years ago. They recollected and colored and re-released it as a 3-part series. So, From Blood, I actually now have 2 issues of, not counting the first issue that was all black and white. Same story, just kind of retooled, revamped for a new audience, and everybody likes color, don't they? So I'm going to show you the variant cover I did for that, because I did a cover for one of the issues. There you go. Zach's pencils, my inks, amazing colors, and you can get this at cosmictimes.net/FromBlood. They also have merchandise up there: t-shirts, sweatshirts, notebooks. There's a throw pillow. I think I have to get a throw pillow. Uh, so far, I just got the t-shirt. I really like this book though, and I love Cosmic Times. They're based in Florida, and they do not stop. Like they are constantly inspiring me to keep going forward. It's one thing that helped me figure out that I want to start maybe dusting off some better past projects and kickstart them and make something out of them more than they are. Because some of them and some of the stuff just sits on the shelf, and I find that to be sad. That's how Angel's Blood got done. I was like, all right, I'm tired of this. This has got to go somewhere. I need to do a Kickstarter, and I was really excited for the world to see the work that I've done. Many moons of this was just spent doing it absolutely in my own on my own. We're gonna shut this off though. I'm sorry, I'm getting an echo because I was trying to check the comments and then I started playing my own video. Let's not do that. I don't want to hear myself. You guys don't want to hear me. Let's move on. I did log. I talk a lot about Angel's Blood. We're gonna wrap up with Angel's Blood though, because I want to let you know at the end what's going on with that. So let's go to something else I did for a few issues. And we're gonna talk about Global Defense Force. All right. So when I was freelancing, after I figured out how to publish books, then I started getting hired to publish books. And starting with this one, my old label, Incremental Studios, picked up Brian Hitzman, who has a concept for a superhero team of his own. And based in Saginaw, Michigan, Brian just had this desire to see his comic through. It was very personal to him. I'll let him tell his own story for his own reasons another time. But it was really important to him as a writer, as a creator, to get this book in his hot little hands. So he hired me, and I brought on some other creators too. We got Adam for the first issue. Adam Wilkinson did the pencils for me, and I did inks and colors and the cover. Issue number 2, I did everything except my man Mike Montalvo. Thank you, Mike, coming out of Canada. Take care. Everybody's hit really hard with COVID, and I'm glad Mike's getting better from that. So issue 2, we had some great artists, and then issue 3, I stepped away from penciling and inking duties, and my man Mohammed, you've heard me rant about Mohammed's great talent over and over and over. Let's show you something about Mohammed. There's Mohammed working for me for Angel's Blood. Oh, I'm still got Cosmic Times banner. Sorry, guys. Let's hide that banner. Mohammed is a great artist. Again, lives a whole world away, but through the miracle of the internet, we've gotten to get to know each other and work on each other's projects, and it's an amazing thing when you get to collaborate because you're adding your talent to someone else's talent, and you're getting something greater than the sum of its parts. So I love that. So back to Global Defense Force, Brian Hitzman. We did a few issues, did 3 issues of that book, and then I was involved, like I said, in various capacities. Uh, Brian went on. We did some separate things, but I wanted to show you. He's doing a new issue that I am just involved as a letterer. Mostly, he's got a ton of stories to tell, and I was doing other things. So we got this book. Also, this is art by Mohammed, and I'm doing the lettering for it. I want everyone to know right now that it is up on Indiegogo as we speak. He's running a fundraiser for Global Defense Force. Let's put that link up there right now. Thank you, Brian Hitzman, Mohammed Lubis, the great Lubisan, Global Defense Force. There are, if you search too on Indie Planet, the first 3 issues and the anthology, we collected the issues 1 through 3 into a trade paperback with some extras, some pinups, and some more bonus stuff. So I was really happy to be a part of the anthology as well. So thanks to Brian, indie creators, man, supporting indie creators. This is what we do. Global Defense Force has been a large part of my catalog for quite some time now, and it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. In fact, I signed on as the letterer partly because I just felt like I was still part of the team, part of the family, and I'm keeping the whole gang together. So I like having my name involved with all these great creators. Dead air, dead air, dead air, Ken, dead air. Reminds me when I worked at 911 and the trainer would play back the recordings of my calls, and I would hate him for it because I'm trying to talk to someone through a crisis, and there's just dead air because I didn't know what to say. He would say, "Dead air, dead air." All right, so there's a lot of projects, guys, I've been involved in, but I'm giving you the highlights today. So I think I'm caught up with at least what I've got graphics for. So let's talk about one of the book that's partly done. All right, Sky Princess, working on Sky Princess for Earth Team Green. I've got more pages on the table, and this book is another favorite of mine. And I think it's going to be one of the biggest things I've done in terms of the scope of the story and hopefully the art jumping to another level, because I've been trying to up my game for the last couple of years, taking online courses, and I'm getting better technology, got a better tablet, and just rising up to the challenge of making better looking books. And I'm connecting with some writers that have real vision. So the vision for Sky Princess is 14-year-old girl who inadvertently somehow gains these superpowers and joins a super team of heroes that are fighting evil aliens that are trying to destroy the planet. I've gone into this on other not podcast. What are you talking about? I've gone into this on other live streams, and the premise kind of seems to me a little bit like Captain Planet. I feel like it's not so cheesy, but it is geared toward teens and it's geared towards saving the planet. A lot of eco-friendly stuff. They've got sponsors and a whole series with the Ohio Recycling Coalition. My man Arlie Owens is fantastic on that, and really is teaching me a lot about like stuff I didn't even know about saving the planet, like pollution and recycling. And we had an hour-long conversation about trees. Well, we all live on this planet, guys, and if we don't take care of it, it won't be there for our future generations. So as much as I love making comics, I also love making a statement. So I'm gonna go one more time on Sky Princess, coming soon. It will be out by the end of this year. Just still in progress on the art, and it's a great story, and I'm really doing my best to tell it faithfully. So I love this. I love this. I love this. Thank you, Earth Team Green and Sky Princess. So that takes us to, I guess I'm going to wrap this up with Angel's Blood, the first book and the latest book, because coming this May, in a couple weeks now, again, watch for the exact date, but I think we're shooting for the 30th. Angel's Blood, that labor of love I talked about. We have new content coming, prequel stories coming. Mike has written and is writing some more words. I don't know what I'm trying to say, stories, but he's doing more of the story side, so there's more to add to it. I'm doing more art for Angel's Blood. I'm a huge fan of this work because it is what it was, but it's going to be more than what it was. If you saw Angel's Blood #1, available now on Indie Planet, you saw that it was rough. I mean, I drew this thing over 15 years ago, so it was dark, it was gritty, it had all the cross hatching and stuff, but it also, I was younger and not as experienced as an artist, so I like to think very much that my art style has changed, that I've grown a little bit. Working on getting back some of that grit, so here's a sample page from the prequel story that we used in our first really successful Kickstarter. So when we launch this next Kickstarter, we're hoping for at least the level of success that we had with the first issue. It's just it's been a while, so we have to revamp our audience and let people know we're coming back. That's why I've been blasting the airwaves and the internet and everywhere I can on Instagram and Twitter and here and on Facebook, because I want everybody to know what we're doing, what we're working on. It's a really good story. It's a dark story. There's a history to tell that we're going to tell, and there's a second issue in the works that we're working on for down the road. And Mike and I have been talking more and more about the future of Angel's Blood. And again, this story that we have to tell about this dark demon coming from the pits of hell, his story of redemption, and the priest who we see Father Miller actually here before he's a priest, and he gets shot. Spoiler alert, there's blood in it. And the darkness that comes from him that he buries. Okay, Miller buries this darkness, and he successfully hides it and masks it with his faith and by helping people, through his priesthood. But when this angel blood thing comes, when the angel falls from the sky dead, and the demon and heaven and hell both come seeking the body, searching for the blood, searching for the angel's blood. That's where the title comes from. Father Miller gets dragged right back into the shit, and as so to speak, pardon my language, but he does. And this look on his face in this panel is one of my favorites because it connects to a look later on when we see him in the future. He's surprised, he's shocked, he's scared, and ultimately he's going to be angry. And what I love about Father Miller is he can hold his own with this demon. This demon here, go back to Golgoth. All right, this guy, chief torturer of hell. Here we see him ripping the head off of Hitler. I know you can't maybe tell from that drawing, but that's supposed to be Hitler. there's a cool reference in one of the books about him actually getting to torture Hitler. So as much as Golgoth is a bad guy on Earth, and he was terrible. When you get the prequel stories, don't be surprised. This is not a protagonist. This guy is not a hero. He's an anti-hero, but he still has a journey of redemption and a story that we want to tell. So he was a bad guy. That's why he became a demon, but doesn't mean he wants to stay there. Doesn't mean he wants to stay there. So, maybe spend a few hundred years making penance for your sins on Earth might change you a little bit. So look for Angel's Blood coming at the end of this month. There'll be plenty of announcements for the launch, I promise. And we're going to do a live stream when we launch, so you can watch one of these cool videos and see us talking about the project. I'm not getting any comments, and that's okay because I don't see anything happening. I just want to make sure I don't miss anybody's questions again, because I keep doing that. If I have missed you, I will get back to you. I'm going to do some more videos like this where I talk about past projects because this is just the sort of the tip of the iceberg of the work that I've done. It just happens to be the books I knew off the top of my head that I could share a link with you or tell you where you could go get the books. Um, Not all of them, but a lot of them. A lot of these comics are on Indie Planet. We printed them through Kablam, and again, I absolutely desperately love Kablam. Thank you guys for tuning in. That's about all I got for you today. I'd like to end it by removing this graphic. Let's go with some dead air. All right. All right. Just me and you. Talked about COVID last time. I'm going to talk about COVID a little bit again because why not? I got this camera. Um, it sucks. It still sucks, but we're so close. We're getting there. I'm getting my second shot tomorrow, so I'm really excited to get fully vaccinated. I know there's hesitancy about that, and I understand. I was there at one point myself, so I think everybody's got to get themselves to a comfortable place. We eventually got to a place where most people accept like polio vaccines and the shots that we give our kids early on. And I know there's some hesitancy about that for some people, but for the most part, these things have been proven to be safe. And millions of people have taken them. And so whenever you're comfortable, when you get yourself into that headspace where you're like, okay, been enough. I don't think there's much risk. It's more risk of getting it, not just getting it, guys, but let me tell you, there's more of a risk of our lives being interrupted like they've been for the last year. And I know everybody hates that. Um, there's more risk of resurgence and lockdowns coming back. And I don't want to be, overly scary, but I mean, come on, like if we don't do something together, masking, distancing, and vaccinations to get this thing under control, it continues to spread, it continues to mutate. Keep yourself informed, take care of yourself and each other. So obviously, I'm a big pro-vaccination guy. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you what I think we should do, but I'm also not judging. I just want everybody to be safe. I have people in my family who are definitely not getting the vaccine. Still love them. They're still great. I'm just going to be as careful as I can that we all stay safe because this thing has taken a big chunk of our lives. It's taken some of our loved ones, and I've known some people who've lost some people, and that's incredibly sad. Um, on top of that, I think we should just have compassion for each other, love one another, do our best to support each other, get rid of our banners because they're distracting. Let me get rid of this and this because it's just us. I'm not trying to sell anything, and I hope I don't come off as a salesman. I'm not a salesman. I just want to let people know what's going on, and this is the stuff that I'm doing. Particularly this past year, been having to do a lot of it at home, and reaching out and letting you know what's going on with me is something that's been helping me. So COVID aside, just generally be good to each other. Be good to each other. And if you can't, then you can just be quiet about it. I've not unfriended people for having differences of opinion. I've not cut people out of my lives for not agreeing with me, but I will tell you I don't like people being an a-hole about it. So think about, are you helping people? Are you hurting people? Or are you ignoring people? Hopefully we all decide to help one another. All right. Thank you for your time. Thank you for looking at my goofy art. Let me know if there's something you'd like to see in the future because I'm going to do these things once or twice a week. Join me again on Monday and I'll be talking about, I don't know, I don't have a topic yet. I'll think of a topic and then I'll talk to you Monday. Take care, guys.